Oh, we were so close. We were so close.
All right.
We almost have that down. We almost get that like every time now. It's awesome.
At least on your end. Again, it's always good on my end.
Yeah.
All right, well, welcome back to the Crouch Chatter Podcast, everybody. As usual, that's Mitch. I'm Jacob. We are back with some more college football. Week 0 is in the books, and as we gear up for Week 1, we will do a quick recap of Week 0 right into Week 1 picks. Typically, the recap videos will be separate, but 11 games and really only 2 or 3 of them of Super Bowls. We will just breeze through these. So, Western Kentucky did take down Austin PA. However you say it, 38-27. UNLV did end up beating up on Idaho State 52-21. UConn surprisingly jumped out to a 14-0 lead, only to eventually fall to Utah State 31-20. Illinois and somehow Tommy DeVito ran past 38-6. Florida State unfortunately beat Duquesne, and that's actually how it's pronounced. I figured out its sequence.
Duquesne.
47-7. FAU ends up blowing out Charlotte 43-13. Despite Florida A&M not having a lot of eligible players able to play, they still played the game and absolutely got walloped by North Carolina 56-24.
Putting up 24 in and of itself is impressive.
I know. Nevada barely edges out New Mexico State 23-12 in a barn burner of a game. North Texas did end up taking down 31-13, and then the two big ones in Ireland, Northwestern ends up mounting a late comeback to beat Nebraska. And before Week 1 even started, Frost is already on the hot seat. Before we even got into Week 1, and in a shocking turn of events, Vanderbilt goes into Hawaii and absolutely obliterates them in the biggest deficit of the day, 63-10. Now, granted, I thought Vanderbilt could and probably would be able to win this game. I did not foresee them coming out of there with a 63-10 win. What are your thoughts on that? Them running away in the second half.
I did not actually watch that. I was, I think I was, because I was pretty much asleep at that point. I had been at a pool party just hours before. I was dead tired. But I totally, I mean, that was my shocker of the week. I totally expected Vanderbilt to not play that well, traveling across the country, going over to Hawaii. I mean, they're coming from the East Coast. They're coming from my time zone. And I mean, I don't know what the difference is in hours between Tennessee and Hawaii, but I don't know. But what's the difference between Michigan and Hawaii? I mean, that's how bad, that's how large the hour difference is. And I thought, Vanderbilt's team's not any good. They don't really have a great head coach. Even their defensive coordinator left them, as now he's Michigan's defensive coordinator. And then Hawaii, they're a team that just tends to play well at home. And even last year they played Fresno State at home. Fresno State was like in the top 25. I think they're like 18th or something like that, and Hawaii beat them. So I mean, I thought for sure. I mean, Vanderbilt's not a great team. Surely they can get at least a close win against them. And then all of a sudden, Vanderbilt runs them off the field. I'm like, holy cow!
I will say I'm very glad we have not. It's kind of, I guess, again to Barrett's point. Not like we're betting, but kind of glad we haven't done our SEC over/unders. This might change my mind a little bit. I think they have. I think they're going to be in a lot of these. They're actually going to be in a lot of these SEC games. Granted, it's Hawaii. It's not an SEC opponent, but just the way they beat them down, I feel like this team is definitely more improved. So I feel like this team is going to. Don't get me wrong, I still think they're going to be a below 500 team. I don't think they're getting to a bowl game or anything, but I mean, we even saw last year they were decently competitive in some SEC games. So I think this is a team that can finally start competing for some SEC games. But that was impressive. It was close throughout the first quarter, and then I stopped watching after the first quarter because I had to go do stuff. And then I was like, hey, I wonder what the score of that game is. And it was 63-10, and I'm like, okay. And then back to Nebraska Northwestern. Ryan Helinski, they could not stop him defensively. He was playing so good. That Northwestern team was playing way better than I thought. I thought Nebraska was going to kick the crap out of him, but Nebraska yet again loses shockingly in week 0 when they weren't supposed to.
I thought it would still be, a decent game, but really to play, I saw a decent amount of it, but again, I was at that pool party, so I did miss a lot of it. But I later found out that Nebraska, for some reason, attempted an onside kick up 28-17. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, when you have an 11, I get it if you're down 28-17, but up 28-17? That doesn't make sense. Because the possibility of recovering an onside kick is very small. And if you already have an 11-point lead closer to the third quarter, then why take the risk of going for an onside kick and getting the ball again? You have that little faith in your defense? Still kick it downfield. At least you get a touchback and you give your defense a chance. By doing the onside, Northwestern cuts out like 40 yards of how far they have to drive down the field. It just was a very weird call to me. Once I figured out that's what they did, to me, I was just like, that's very strange.
Yeah, no, it was very, very strange. But obviously they blew the game, which was insane. Anyway, we will go on to week 1. Before we start with our shocker of the week, we will give you your favorite segment, the cheapest tickets of the week. If you're looking for Power 5 cheap, you've got stuff like Kent State at Washington is $8 tickets. If you live in New York, go to the Carrier or the JMA Wireless Dome. It's the Carrier Dome. I'm never not calling it that. For Syracuse at home against Louisville, tickets as low as $8 for a Power 5 game. Texas is basically giving tickets away at $4 because why would you want to go to a Texas game? And honestly, I think that might be the lowest ticket there is. I got a couple 4s and 5s, but if you really want to go see a good game, you can go to the Texas game. Or you can watch UCF versus South Carolina State for $4. Those are your lowest tickets of the week.
All right.
Let us get to shockers of the week. Since Mitch picked first last week, I get to pick first this week. And I am going to be taking the West Virginia Mountaineers over the Pitt Panthers in Pittsburgh. It is a 7.5-point line for Pittsburgh. Both these teams are bringing in a lot of new people. It was the only line that I really feel super comfortable with, taking, because a lot of these games I feel pretty confident in who's going to win them. It was between this one and I think maybe Houston, UTSA, or Cincinnati, Arkansas were the 3 that I was really tossing up between. But I don't trust Keaton Slovis. It's the reason why I think Pitt's going to be a decent team this year, but mainly I don't really like Keaton Slovis that much as a quarterback. I think he's really bad at I don't think he was pretty bad at USC. So luckily, no, I'm kidding. He'll be playing lesser opponents because the Pac-12 and the ACC aren't that much different. So yeah, give me West Virginia in the upset in that game. Good Thursday night game though.
Yes, very good Thursday night game, which actually is a big rivalry. The backyard brawl is what they have called it. So for those who maybe don't know, Sam Ward will be coming back for the podcast to do our picks. He was not able to make it this year, or for this. No, he is able to make it this year. He will be. He wasn't able to make it for this video. However, he has sent me all of his picks and his shockers. So I'll be putting those in. His shocker's an interesting pick, as he has Western Michigan taking down Michigan State. Very.
It's a 22.5-point line, so if somehow Michigan State fumbles, who's catching up to him? I guess week 1's the week you take a shot.
Yeah, very aggressive pick there by Sam Ward. Totally agree with it. I don't think it's a bad choice for him.
You want to know what the sad thing is? That line is only 5 more than Ohio State's favored to beat number 5 ranked Notre Dame. The difference between 2 and 5 is almost the same as the difference between Michigan State and Western Michigan.
Yeah, that is insane. And actually, there was 2 games I was picking between, and that was Rutgers over Boston College or Notre Dame over Ohio State. And actually, I am taking the Notre Dame over Ohio State upset.
Well, if you took Western Michigan, Michigan State, you might as well take the shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why so many people are favoring Ohio State so much. Ohio State's a great team. Don't get me wrong. I think likely Ohio State should win that game, but Notre Dame is a fantastic team, and so to really say that, to really give like Ohio State a 17.5 point edge, I think is ridiculous. 5 or 7, maybe, but 17.5 is way too high. And I could definitely see Notre Dame possibly pulling an upset. This is a fantastic head coach. And Ohio State's team is not great defensively. So I think I think that's gonna be a very competitive game. It can go either way. I've kind of already given up that I'm taking Ohio State probably for that game, but I'm 100% taking Notre Dame for the upset, for a shocker of the week.
I know they got Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State.
So yeah, he's now the defensive coordinator.
I'm very interested to see how their defense is coming out of this. I think I have them about a 10-point difference between each other on a neutral field, about 14. My line would probably be about 12 to 14 in Columbus. So 17 is a little high for me, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll win, but I respect the big jump. I was debating jumping on that game, but I'm looking pretty solid on Ohio State winning that game. All right, anyway, let's get into our actual picks. What would be our first game?
First game is a Friday night game, which is Sam's upset, or Sam's shocker of the week, Western Michigan and Michigan State. Who wants to take this one away, me or you?
I guess I'll take it away. Western Michigan, is always one of those teams that puts up fights. Upset Pitt last year. Always plays decently close with most of their opponents. I do think Michigan State wants to come out and get the ball rolling. I think Western Michigan honestly might cover the 22.5, just because I think they're a good team that can keep it competitive. But I do think Michigan State is a better team. I'm interested to see how they are with the departure of Kenneth Walker. But I do think, as much as I don't like to admit it, Mel Tucker is a very, very good coach, and they did really well in recruiting and in the transfer portal specifically in the offseason. So I will give this one to Michigan State pretty comfortably. I think Michigan State's a pretty good team. I think Western Michigan can make it interesting, but it being in East Lansing at the start of the season, I would give it to the Spartans.
Yeah, that's what I expected, and as I said, I do have all of Sam's picks as well, of which he does actually take Michigan State. He doesn't pick Western for his pick as well. He's just going big on the upset, so I respect that. And I guess I'll finish last. I'll do Sam second, you first. I guess we'll just do that. I'm taking Michigan State. Western Michigan is a sneaky MAC team, but they're an okay team. But Michigan State, I think, still has the better overall talent. And so I think the Spartans should be able to win that one pretty handily on Friday night against the Broncos.
Exactly. All right, what do you got next?
Next is the other Michigan MAC team, Central Michigan, against Oklahoma State on Thursday night. A lot of controversy the last time these two played in Stillwater. Very
I remember that.
it might be interesting again.
Exactly. Oklahoma State is favored by 21.5 points. The over/under is 59.5. I do expect Central Michigan to cover. Well, I don't think Oklahoma State's a team that really. I mean, I guess their offense is pretty good, but it all depends on. Again, like I said, all throughout last year, I like Spencer Sanders if you get the correct version of him. But sometimes you can just get the Spencer Sanders who's going to throw 5 interceptions, and sometimes you're going to get the Spencer Sanders that throws 8 touchdowns. You never truly know. But I will pick Oklahoma State to win this one, obviously it being at home. Central Michigan having to travel, but look for Central Michigan to potentially make it interesting, especially early in the game. I don't expect it to be a huge runaway game.
Yeah, and for Sam's pick, he has Oklahoma State as well, taking down Central Michigan, and this will be a clean sweep, as I have the Cowboys as well. I think Oklahoma State is going to have some fun in this one. I think they're going to get revenge for what happened in Stillwater a few years ago when they got robbed of the win, really. I think this is going to be a revenge game for the Cowboys. So, I mean, it could still be interesting. Central Michigan's not a chump change team, but I still think Oklahoma State should win this one handily.
Especially if I'm interested to see that Oklahoma State defense again after the departure of
Now
Jim
with
Knowles.
without Jim Knowles,
who's a really good defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do we got next?
Next is the UTEP Miners, 0-1 UTEP Miners against the Oklahoma Sooners, number 9 in the country.
All right, I've got it here. So Oklahoma is a 31.5-point favorite. The over/under is 57. Yeah, I would have thought about taking UTEP, but they did just get absolutely smoked at home by North Texas, who I think is a pretty good team. But again, I don't really care. I don't really like it too much if you get smoked at home. I don't know if Oklahoma's going to run away with this. Obviously, there's a lot of turnaround with this team. So there's going to be a lot of chemistry that they're going to have to work on, which I'm sure they've been working on in training camp and all of that. I don't expect this to be a huge, 56-3 game, but I do expect Oklahoma to win comfortably.
Yeah, and I believe if I were to check Sam's notes, I believe he has Oklahoma as well. He does. And I'm going to be taking the Sooners as well. Like you said, a lot of turmoil for the Sooners, a lot of guys leaving the program, whether that's going to USC or recruits just decommitting and going elsewhere. Michigan did benefit from that as we got Derek Moore, the big defensive end from Oklahoma, as he had once committed to the Sooners and then left. But this is an Oklahoma team that is working through a lot of losses. I mean, no Zach Williams, no Caleb Williams can come with his name. Caleb Williams, no Mario Williams. They've lost other guys to the NFL. Other guys just transferred away to different areas, lost recruits. A lot of losses for Oklahoma. The fact that they're even number 9 surprises me. But this is still a good Sooner team. UTEP, not a great team. I don't think it's necessarily like you said. I don't think Oklahoma's going to run away with it, especially since it's the first game of the year. But I still think the Sooners will win this one easily. And I don't have to question what your pick is for this game. Next one is
Utah State, right?
Yeah,
it's Utah State versus number 1 Alabama. Alabama has a 99, according to ESPN's FPI, it is all these percentages are going to be from ESPN's FPI. They have a 99.3% chance to win this football game. The line is 41.5 points for Alabama. The over/under is 62.5, which I will definitely take Alabama, and I will probably, honestly, I don't care that it's a 41.5 point line. I would probably take Alabama to cover, because they are going to be coming out firing. They are going to be coming out extremely hot. Nick Saban just got his huge contract extension.
Yeah.
They lost to Georgia last year in the national championship, and they're going to come out here smoking. And poor Utah State. But also Utah State at one point was down 14-0 to UConn, which means, give me Alabama. I would have picked maybe Utah State could have done better, but then they were down 14-0 to UConn. They won, but they were down at any point to UConn. So give me Crimson Tide to crush the Aggies.
Yeah, and obviously Sam picks the same thing. He has the Crimson Tide, and I have the Crimson Tide as well. So far, clean sweeps for us all, but Alabama obviously is the best team in college football this year. I don't think there is another team in college football better than them. So I think the Crimson Tide will have a lot of fun just demolishing the crap out of Utah State. And our next game is a Labor Day night game. Chick-fil-A kickoff. Number 4 Clemson against Georgia Tech. Really more of a home game for the Yellow Jackets, but it's still at the Falcons Stadium, so it's more considered a neutral site.
It's considered a neutral site game. I don't care if it's a neutral site game, a home game at Georgia Tech, or a home game at Clemson. I do think Clemson is going to be beating up the Yellow Jackets. I don't know. I'm interested to see how Clemson's going to do this year. I don't know. I'm interested to see about Georgia Tech too, but I mean Georgia Tech was really, really, really bad last year. Like, it's funny because it shows the last 5 games for each team, and Clemson's last 5 is win, 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 and Georgia Tech is blow up, blow up, blow up, blow up. The last 2 games of last year were Notre Dame 55-0 and Georgia 45-0. They didn't score a single point in the last 2 weeks.
Yikes.
Poor Georgia Tech. Clemson has a 94.3% chance to win. For some reason, ESPN's website sometimes is garbage. It does not need a line for this game. I'm sure I could find it somewhere.
Doesn't need a line.
I'm sure the line is pretty big. So yeah, give me Clemson.
All right, and we're gonna have a clean sweep again because Sam has also taken the Clemson Tigers, and so will I. This Georgia Tech team is not good, and that's a not a good thing for them because their schedule is absolutely brutal. They have literally every single good team that you could think of, but this is not a good Georgia Tech team. Not really having the greatest head coach either, as he's under some fire as well. So I think Clemson will have a lot of fun. They should have a good time on Labor Day night while everybody for Clemson, all the Clemson fans are off, getting to watch their Tigers smoke the Yellow Jackets. Should be plenty of fun. So next up we have the Louisville Cardinals on the road at the infamous JM whatever it is wireless dome, which I am still calling the Carrier Dome, up against the Syracuse Orange. Take it away, Mr. Syracuse man.
I wonder what I'm going to pick. I wonder. Louisville is 58.2% chance to win. Louisville has a 4-point spread. I really should have taken Syracuse in this one. I don't know why I didn't take Syracuse in this one. I guess I was just feeling risky. But all day, come on. It's start the season against an ACC opponent. Yeah, Louisville's the better team, but anything can happen. And again, I'm not calling it the JMA Wireless Dome. I'm going to continue to refer to it as Carrier Dome. I'm not saying this anymore. In the Carrier Dome, can get rocket, especially for ACC games. If Syracuse wants to go bowling, this is an absolute must-win game. Really hope they do win this game. If not, I'll. Okay, Siri. I wasn't talking to you. But yeah, no. I'm very excited for this game. This will basically tell me how the season's going to go. Sean Tucker is an absolute beast. Sean Tucker for Heisman. Don't worry. It might be a homer pick, but.
Yeah. Not Sperensky. Sam has Louisville for this game, so we have our first non-clean sweep finally. And then for me, I think this is completely 50-50, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the better team because I do like Malik Cunningham a lot. I could definitely see Syracuse winning this game just because it is the Carrier Dome, and the Carrier Dome gives a lot of teams problems. But Malik Cunningham is a fantastic player, and I'll take Louisville, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go the other direction.
Carrier Dome. Hey, anything can happen in the Carrier. That team was much better than this team, though, by a long shot.
And now we have Friday night. We have the Illinois Fighting Illini, the 1-0 Fighting Illini, on the road against the Indiana Hoosiers.
I don't remember what my point spread was on this game. I know I literally just did the Big Ten.
It's like 4, I think, or something like that in Indiana's favor.
What my score was. Yeah, Indiana is 52.7% to win. I'm pulling it up here. Indiana is favored by 3 at home. It is a 3-point line, 52.7%. I'm trying to pull what my score was for this game. My Excel sheet's not responding. Oh, here it is. Okay, got it. I have Indiana winning 31-24. I do have the Hoosiers in this one. I don't know anything about the Hoosiers. I know they really were stinky last year. They were stinky last year. I don't know if they're going to be any better this year, but Indiana at home, I always like Indiana at home. And I will continue to make that point throughout the entirety of the season until he proves me wrong. Because he had a good game against Wyoming, but it's Wyoming, freaking Wyoming. Until he shows me against a good team he can play well, I'm going to keep bringing up the Tommy DeVito point. So I do have Indiana edging out this one at home, and I have Indiana covering that line.
All right, and Sam also has the Indiana Hoosiers taking down the Fighting Illini on Friday night. I do not. I have the Illini in this one. I am taking Illinois to stay undefeated because they already played a game, and I have them beating Indiana. This is not a good Indiana team. Not that Illinois is any better. Well, not that Illinois is a great team either, but I think they're still better than the Hoosiers. I mean, looking at an Indiana team that just went 2-10 last year. And this team doesn't have Michael Penix either. This team just doesn't have any talent whatsoever. Like I said, Illinois is not all that special either. But to me, I still think this team is a little bit better than Indiana. And I think it'll be a closer game, but I still think that the Fighting Illini should win this one in Bloomington. This isn't basketball.
I think it's a pretty. Illinois would probably beat Indiana in football and basketball too. I think.
Yeah, probably.
It's one of those games that's super 50-50. Honestly, because they're on equivalent. They're on like levels. I think Illinois is a slightly better team. I think I only went with Indiana just because it's in Bloomington. Next, it looks like we have the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on the road against the Boston College Eagles, correct?
Yes, Rutgers at BC.
Rutgers at Boston College. I do have this one made up too. All right, so we've got Boston College at home. They are favored by 7 points. It is a 70.3% chance for Boston College, 29.7% chance for Rutgers. Over under. I do have Boston College narrowly edging this out at home, 31-26. I do think Rutgers is gonna just barely cover the spread. I think Rutgers and Boston College are pretty equal level teams. Again, my they're pretty equal teams unless it's a rivalry game. To favor the home team. So give me Boston College in this one by a narrow edge.
All right, and Sam has picked the same as Stravinsky. He also has Boston College winning this one. And I'll be the one to differ again, as I did say that this was one of the upsets I was considering. I ended up going with the Notre Dame one because that was a bigger line. But I'm taking Rutgers in this one. I think this is a pretty even game. I think this is totally 50-50. Can go either way. I'll take the Big Ten team, though. I think Greg Schiano is already turning Rutgers into a bit of a better team. I think, like I said, either way, 50-50 chance here, but I like Rutgers on the road. I don't think this Boston College team is all that special, and so I give Rutgers a slight edge.
And it looks like the next one we will be going to everybody's least favorite team, North Carolina on the road against Appalachian State. This is a very interesting one because they play North Carolina. When I did their win total, I said out of Appalachian State or Georgia State, I think they go 1-1 in those stretch. I think they lose one of those two games, and I think I'm going to go a little bit here. I think I am going to have them. I think I'm going to have Appalachian State. I have it on my set sheet. It's 31-24 App State. North Carolina is 4.6% chance to win. North Carolina is a 1.5 point favorite, and the over under is 56. I would take Appalachian State definitely. I would definitely take Appalachian State to win. I mean, team. They played pretty well against Florida A&M, but they also let Florida A&M, who barely had any eligible players, score 24 points on them. So if that tells you anything about their defense, May looks pretty good, but again, Florida A&M. So you still don't really know anything about North Carolina, so I'm going to favor the Mountaineers in this one.
All right, and Sam has taken the Tar Heels to knock off Appalachian State on the road, mind you. This is actually in Appalachian State.
That's why I took them.
Yeah, I think this is a complete 50-50 game. Should gonna be a good one to see. I think this is on the ACC network or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's a noon game, but this should be very fun to see. North Carolina's defense absolutely brutal. I don't really know which way to go. You know what? I'll take App State. I'll take the Mountaineers.
There's a
Um,
lot of 50-50 games this year.
Mount Appalachian State is a solid team. North Carolina's defense showed nothing against Florida A&M, and well, App State's a lot better than Florida A&M. So if North Carolina really wants to win this game, they're gonna have to play way better defensively. Actually, and also being on the road is gonna be another obstacle for them to try and overcome. But I'm actually gonna take the Mountaineers to knock off the Power Five team.
I didn't see this. Can I change my shocker?
um,
I didn't see this one. I won't change it. I won't change it for the sake of it. But your next game is TCU at Colorado. Is TCU really supposed to be good? Like, no, Colorado's not great. But TCU at Colorado. TCU is 14-point favorites. The over-under is 55.5. TCU has a 68.5% chance to win.
14.
What?
They're a 14-point favorite.
They're a 14-point favorite.
Wow, that was at like 10 a week ago.
I know. Like, granted, I went a little bold, and I am going with the Colorado upset. I think TCU is a much better team, but I always don't like teams going into the altitude to play Colorado that aren't used to it is always like a 50-50 game. Even Texas A&M last year, they went to Colorado and had to slug it out to barely. I just think natural altitude gives the Buffaloes a really good advantage. I think TCU is going to have a pretty decent year this year. I'm definitely saying Colorado is going to cover because 14 points is a lot for an unproven team on the road. I will take Colorado in a slight upset, 27-24. Though I think TCU probably has a better shot. But I'll throw out the upset for the altitude.
All right, and Sam has taken TCU for this game, winning on the road against the Buffaloes. I think this will be a good game. This will definitely be one to see on Friday night. But I am going with the better team. I am taking TCU, and I would take the road team if it wasn't Colorado, because Colorado is they're really bad. They are a terrible team, and TCU is coming into this game with a brand new head coach, but Sonny Dykes, coming in from SMU, is a good head coach. They are supposedly playing like 3 different quarterbacks in this game, so I have no idea how that's going to work. But TCU is, I think, the better team still in Colorado, and with Colorado being as bad as they are, I am going to take the Horned Frogs to take it in Colorado.
Fair enough. I think 14 points is a huge one for two. Colorado's bad, but they're still at home in altitude. All right, now we move on to the game that is a rematch of one of the most infamous early games of last year. We got from Memphis Tigers on the road to take on Mike Leach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Mississippi State has a 73% chance to win. They are favored by 15.5 points. It's negative minus 700 to the line, and you've got over under of 57. I probably take Mississippi State in this one. I think both of them are pretty good. I'm going to go with the SEC team with a better coach. I know Memphis took it last year. It'll be an interesting game, but this one. I don't know how to put it. I'll get it for you. You say Sam's pick. I'll figure out my thing. Oh, no, never mind. Here it is. I have them winning 28%. So not covering, but I do have winning.
Yeah, and Sam also has the Bulldogs taking down Memphis, and we're going to have a clean sweep again because I have that as well. Memphis benefited from a very bad call last year at home, which basically gave them the win. In one of the most infamous bad games from last year, of where Mississippi State got robbed of a victory last year. Mike Leach, the head coach there, Mississippi State now home for this game. No way are they letting this one slip out of their hands. I think the Tigers are going to run into a buzzsaw. Give me Mississippi State at home.
Fair enough. And now we go to the Alamo Dome. UTSA. Taking on the 24th ranked Cougars. The Alamo Dome will be rocking. Houston is favored 62.4%. They are the 4-point favorites, and the over-under is 60. It is going to be loud. It is raucous. It is going to be jamming. Oh, this one's hard. This one's hard. I don't play it safe. I don't know much about any turnover in UTSA. I think I'm going to play it safe for the lone threat team. Even though they're on the road, I am going to go with Houston Cougars. But I would not be surprised to see UTSA take that home field, run with it a little bit. But I think this week specifically, I would take the safe pick, and I would take the Cougars.
All right, and Sam is doing the same. He is taking Houston to win it on the road against the Road Runners. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. I mean, Houston is a middle-of-the-road Group of 5 team. Houston's an okay team. They're honestly, with how much Cincinnati lost this year, Houston might be the favorite to win the American. And this is actually their last year in the American because they'll be moving to the Big 12 soon, along with Cincinnati and UCF and BYU. And so I'm going to go with Houston. I think this can go either way, but I will take the top 25 squad on the road to knock off the Road Runners. Should be a very fun game, though. That's one to see Saturday about 3:30.
Oh, for sure. Let's go to the NCAAF brawl. West Virginia has my shocker of the week. On my stat sheet, though, I do have near to get out 34-27. It is 78.1% chance to win. They are 7.5 point favorites, and we're under 51. So not expecting too much scoring from this game. I do set out since they do have more teams. I don't know how much Slovis is going to die. I'm interested to see how good Slovis plays in his new home. But I will take a hit to him out. And even though I picked them to lose in the upset, but it's for fun.
All right, and Sam has picked also the Pitt Panthers to win the backyard brawl. I think this is going to be a very fun game to see because this is actually a matchup of two old teammates, I believe, as this is Keaton Slavis versus probably JT Daniels, who will be starting for West Virginia. So battle of the two old USC quarterbacks. Going to be very fun to see those two matching up against each other. And what's going to be two really good Thursday night games. We'll get to the next one soon, as you can already see it actually on the stat here. But this is going to be so much fun to see. I'm very excited for this game, and I am going to go with the ranked team and the Pitt Panthers to win it at home. It was now like Akira Field and not Heinz Field. Probably the other just stupid name change of a field. Why? It's not they took down the actual like infamous ketchup bottles on the actual stadium. It's like that's just as bad as changing the Carrier Dome. Really, it might be worse than that. But anyways, I am taking the Pitt Panthers to win at home. They have an interesting non-conference with their first game being at home against West Virginia and next week being at home against Tennessee. So two interesting big games to start off the year, but I think they'll knock off the Mountaineers in a close one.
And now we go to a very, very interesting game, which you might not be able to see, but goodness, 10:30
Oh, I will be.
p.m. 10:30 p.m. Eastern time is 7:30 p.m. Mountain. So, we have the Oregon State Beavers at home against the Boise State Broncos. Oh man, the matchup predictor has Boise State favored 52% to 49.8%. They're going to say this is a split. Oregon State is favored by 3 points, and under is 7. Give me the home team. Give me the Oregon State Beavers. I want to see them. I was debating watching between going to the Eastern Michigan, Washington, or the Oregon State. For I want to go to Oregon State, but I think by that point they're falling off. So I don't know if I want to watch that one. But Eastern Michigan, but I have Oregon State. Out with is very important too, because they have some tricky at drawing both US and Utah from the other division.
Yeah, and so Sam has actually taken the road team. He has the Boise State Broncos knocking off Oregon State in Corvallis, I believe is where Oregon State is. I do not. I have the home team. I have Oregon State knocking off Boise State. Going to be a very fun game, though. Should be very close and very competitive. I am very excited to see this one. Yes, it'll be 10:30 my time, but as many people might know, I am a night owl. I don't ever sleep hardly, and I never really look good in the morning. But not that that's any difference. I'm the worst morning person probably on planet Earth, so who cares? But I'll definitely be watching this one during the night. There's some other good games during the night too, but this is really the best one. Going to be very fun to see this. I think I do have the Beavers just barely edging off Boise State in what should be a very good game, really.
Exactly. All right, and now we get to one of the games I'm most excited for: Penn State at Purdue. Third game, so I'm watching this one. No, excuse me, I might that time on the campus, but I'll be still watching that one. Penn State and Purdue. Penn State has 42% to win. 52.5 over under. I know Purdue's lost a lot of people. Give me the point. It's in Purdue. I don't State anyway. It's in Purdue. Penn State can very easily win this. I think this is a huge toss-up game. I think teams are pretty good. Slightly better team. But Purdue at home is always going to especially. So give me the Boilermakers one. I have on my again, but give me the Boilermakers.
All right, and Sam agrees. He also has the Boilermakers taking it in West Lafayette, or as we like to say, directionally challenged Lafayette. Last year we had another fantastic Thursday night game, which was a Big Ten game. It was Ohio State at Minnesota. We all know that one. As it actually looks like Ohio State might lose for a good majority of that game. And really, if it wasn't for 2 errors by Minnesota, they might have actually won that game. They were that close. I mean, there was 2 costly turnovers by Minnesota, and that was the difference of the game. But that was a very fun Thursday night game last year. The other one was Boise State UCF. That was fun to see, too. So now we got a new group of 2 with West Virginia Pitt, and this one here in Penn State Purdue. That will be the 8 o'clock game. Totally 50-50 here. I could see either team winning it. Purdue, obviously, very good at home, kind of like the Iowa Hawkeyes. And Penn State coming off a year of which wasn't necessarily the greatest, but um, I'm actually going to give the Nittany Lions a slight edge. I could totally see Purdue win it, and I would not be surprised to see Purdue win it. But I do think Penn State is the slightly better team. I think their running game is going to be a bit better this year, which is going to be huge to their success. If they can't run the ball, they're not going to win. But I think the running game is going to be a lot better. Not a fan of Sean Clifford, but I think the running game is going to be significantly better, and that will significantly help out that putrid offense from last year. So I will go with the Nittany Lions, but give me a very close, very competitive game throughout.
Putrid is putting it lightly. This is the team that was able to get one 2-point conversion 9 more times. With Illinois.
That was not good.
Oh, that was a fun game. All right, we have the Sun All-State Louisiana kickoff. We have the Florida State on the road. It's technically not in LSU, but it's in Louisiana.
It's the Saints Stadium. It essentially is a road game, even if it is a neutral site.
It's a neutral site, but it's basically a road game. LSU has a 17.5% chance to win. LSU is favored by 3 points. The over what is 51.5. I do have LSU in this game. I don't have winning it by a crap ton. I have winning like 24-17 is what we're seeing on this game. His name and their quarterback, Jake Daniels, won the job.
Well, I don't think they announced anyone as the starting quarterback yet.
No, I think they did. The other guy ended up transferring out because Jake Daniels won the job. We're going to portal. What's their starter? Let me.
Well, because I think they said that they had a starter, but then like they were keeping it a secret. But I think it's between Miles Brennan and Jaden Daniels. Or no, Brennan quit football.
No, he was the one that retired.
Yeah.
It says picks LSU starting quarterback climbs in publicly. It's between Jaden Daniels and Jimmy Nussmeier. I would probably assume
it's probably Daniels then.
Since he is a senior, the only reason I'm saying definitely decent is because they have NFL talent at the receiver position. That's something Jake did not have. He didn't have that many. Well, I guess in his best seasons, he had Ayuk and Keel. Those are two good NFL wide receivers. But like,
well, I don't know about good.
they're NFL receivers.
Ayuk's decent. Nikhil Harry hasn't turned out.
They're actually NFL receivers, but I think LSU will be a good team. I think Jake Daniels will take a little bit to get going, which is good because he's going to get a wake-up call when they start conference play against the SEC opponents. But I will take LSU this one for the slight.
All right, and Sam has the same. He also has the LSU Tigers just. He has LSU beating Florida State. He didn't give me any scores. He just told me to picks. This is going to be a fun game, I think. This is a Sunday night game. It is at the Caesars Superdome, which is home of the New Orleans Saints. Florida State is not a good team. LSU isn't necessarily great either, but I think they're better than Florida State. So I do have LSU winning it. I do have the score for this game. I know, and I'm pretty sure I had it to be very close. I think I had 40-35. I think there'll be a pretty good amount of scoring. But I do have LSU just walking away with the win and a good start to the season for them. Winning, even if it is Florida State, it's still a big win for brand new coach Brian Kelly, which was a huge hire for them.
No, exactly. We've got another huge game with number 7 going on the road to take on the Florida Gators. This one was so hard for me to pick. Utah is by far the better team. Stop working on my computer. My phone. Florida State is 2.1%. Utah is a 3-point line favorite. Over under 51. I heard Utah was practicing with the heat all the way up to get ready for the swamp. Utah is a better team. Really like, oh my gosh, what's his name?
Cam Rising.
Cam Rising. Utah team is going to compete, if not win the Pac-12. I literally have it as I did this like a couple months ago, so such a toss-up game for me. Florida winning by 31 to 30 is the score that I have. Because Utah has to go across the country into the swamp, which is a very hostile environment, and Utah is very known for having slow starts to their season. They always have slow starts from what I remember. They had that last year, a couple of their games. Great, they weren't starting to rise. It's going to be a very interesting game. The swamp just barely gets, but I can see the Utes coming into town and playing it.
All right, and Cervensky has gone with the safe pick. He has the Utah Utes knocking off the Gators in the swamp.
No, I have the Gators knocking off the Utes.
No, Sam does.
Oh, I thought you said swerve.
No, Sam has the Utes knocking off the Gators over in the swamp. And yeah, for me, there's only one thing I have to say for this game. Give me Florida. This team, I like this Florida team. I think they'll have a much better year than they did last year. And as Stravinsky knows, I am not a Utah lover. I'm not a big fan of this Utah team. I think they're overrated, in my opinion. They're an okay team. Don't get me wrong; they're not bad, but number 7, they're not number 7 good. So I am taking the Gators to win at the Swamp. I don't think Utah can go on the road from going from the West Coast, playing in the Swamp, which is like you said, big time heat. I don't see this game going well. Anthony Richardson's a good quarterback for Florida. They have NFL talent on that team still as well. And this Utah team just lost a good amount. Just lost their big time defender. Lost some other players as well. So give me the Gators winning in the Swamp. Should be a fun one, but I still got Florida.
All right, and now we go to the kickoff game. We got the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs on the number 11 Oregon Ducks. Georgia. I skipped one. That's okay. I guess first.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go back. Georgia's 17 line. 34-29 to Oregon. It's probably good. Yeah, Georgia. Pretty confident.
Yep, and Sam has the same. He has Georgia in the win in the Chick-fil-A kickoff, which this is, again, technically a neutral site game, but it's at the Atlanta Falcons Stadium. It's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's literally in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not much of a neutral site game. Atlanta is home to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, but I don't really think there's many Yellow Jacket fans with how many times Georgia blows those guys off the face of the earth. So I am taking this Georgia team. Oregon is a solid team, but is having a head coaching change with Mario Cristobal now out the door. And they also are having. And Georgia is going to lose a lot of their defense, and is going to lose their defensive coordinator. But I still think Georgia is a better team than Oregon. I don't think Oregon will get blown off the floor, but I do think Georgia will win this one comfortably. So give me the Bulldogs.
And back to the game that I missed. We've got the on Arkansas Razorbacks. Arkansas has a 60% chance to win. Yeah, Arkansas is the 6-point favorite. Over under 52. I do have Arkansas winning 34-26. Do you think Cincinnati is a pretty good team? But with how much they did lose over the last year and being on the road in Arkansas, I think Cincinnati can come in here and shock a lot of people and take down Arkansas. But with how much they lost, I would favor the SEC to be good SEC to win this matchup. Which is the same because Arkansas sucked like 3 years ago. And now they're like really, really good. So just shows you how quickly teams change. But give me Arkansas.
All right, so we go to Sam's pick, and he actually has Cincinnati winning on the road, knocking off the Razorbacks. I have Arkansas in this one. I kind of for the same reasons as you do. It's a road game for Cincinnati, and Arkansas. Well, Cincinnati lost literally pretty much the entire team that got into the CFP last year. So I think Cincinnati will still have a decent year, but I think they're going to have a bit of some trouble playing on the road against an Arkansas team that, yeah, did lose Traylon Burks, but still has KJ Jefferson as its quarterback. In Cincinnati, no Desmond Ritter, no running back Jerome Ford. He's gone. Ahmad Sauce Gardner's gone. They lost another corner. They lost another defensive player. They lost somebody else. I mean, they lost Alec Pierce, their top receiver. He's gone. I mean, they lost pretty much everything that they had from last year. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a rough year for Cincinnati. I got Arkansas. Still should be a good game. I think it'll be fun to see, but I think Arkansas will get the win there. And now we have the game of the week.
Hold on the big game. The number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish road against the Ohio State Buckeyes. They made me really happy for Ohio State because again, they still just got 42 to 27 score. That made me very happy. Anyway, Ohio State was favored by 17.5 points. It's the win. The over/under is 9. They are super good. I have Ohio State winning 45. I think the Notre Dame team is good, but I think this Ohio State team is just 5. But I think they're just different tier than them. I think Notre Dame will close up the first half, but I think the third quarter, CJ start looking up. And obviously, this is an Ohio State team whose 2 best are coming off the lost to their rivals. They are all they've been used to if they're throwing up Ohio State, keeping the crap out of them. First time they play them, they lose to them. So they're probably not very happy about that. So this is an Ohio State that is going to be coming out this year. They should, after a down year last year, 10-2 on a road win. After a down year last year, about that, they come out and make a statement early again, close the first half of the Ohio State. But Notre Dame will cover this. Really.
Yeah, and Sam also has picked Ohio State to win the game of the week. As most of you know, for how I pick game of the weeks, I mostly just go depending on where College Game Day for ESPN is, and College Game Day is at Columbus. So therefore, Notre Dame Ohio State has become game of the week. Now this will actually be the last year the Big Ten ever shows up on ESPN because they made a big new contracts with Fox, CBS, and NBC. So this is it for ESPN, ABC on the Big Ten. This is it.
I like CBS. I really like. I think CBS has the better.
Yeah. So how the SEC gets all the 3:30 treatment for CBS games? That's going to be the Big Ten probably in 2 years.
We get the.
Yeah, because the SEC is moving to the ESPN, so the Big Ten is going to get the SEC treatment and on CBS. Yeah, and then NBC is gaining nighttime Big Ten games, and Fox probably has the big noon stuff. It's a huge contract, which is going to get the Big Ten a ton of money. And then considering that like the SEC leaves CBS after 2023, know who comes in 2024?
USC and Utah.
UCLA and USC, yeah. So you can see where that's going. Anyways, back to football. Back to actual games. We have Notre Dame, Ohio State. This is going to be really good. This is kind of one of those games where I like to say, like, can both of these teams lose? Because I don't like either of them. Especially this one right here. But don't like these guys either. But I think this is going to be a very good game. Buckeyes at home. This Ohio State offense is probably, I mean, last year was one of the best offenses we've seen. And this year will be one of the best offenses we've seen. As, I mean, just think about this. Ohio State's offense is losing Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and then they can just insert another first-round pick coming next year and Jackson Smith and Jigba, probably the best receiver I've ever seen in my life. And then
I think he was better on that team last year. Both of them.
Exactly. And then also let's just throw in Marvin Harrison Jr., just, Marvin Harrison's kid. Okay.
And then what's his name?
You got Travion Henderson, running back too. You got C.J. Stroud at quarterback. You got another running back right behind Henderson, who's fantastic. I mean, their offense up and down is insane, and their offense alone could easily carry them to even the championship. But it's all dependent on their defense. Can their defense actually stop teams? Because that's what let them down last year. And now Jim Knowles comes in as the defensive coordinator. So you can see what my pick is. I'm taking Ohio State. I did take Notre Dame as my shocker of the week, but I only did that because it's a 17.5-point line. I think this is going to be a very competitive game. I think Notre Dame is going to keep this one close throughout, but in the end, I do think the Buckeyes at the Horseshoe should be able to take it home. But like I said, very competitive game, and it's going to be one to watch.
I think I have Ohio scoring under 40 points in like 2 games. The offense is just too good. All right, well, that is for week 1. Enjoy, because we are college football. It is
Yes,
fully
we are
100% back this week, and for the next 4 or 5 months, all we're in this football, baby.
3 more days.
3 more days until we 2 more days. Thursday starts.
Oh yeah, I think today's Monday. 2 more days.
Yeah, 2 more days. So it's football weekend. That's Jake. Look out for the SEC totals to finalize our win total segments. Other than that, have a great week. Peace.
Adios.